Well, g'day there, everybody. Thanks a lot again for joining me on Thursday. You may actually be watching this on Friday. It really doesn't matter whatsoever. It is an opportunity, however, to share with you something that I am looking at outside of the top 12 individual trade list on the left-hand side of my screen. I used to do this a long time ago. I stopped doing so. However, this particular index fund, it is of Brazil, has caught my attention. It caught my attention roughly 2 weeks ago now, but I did execute trades on this on Tuesday, and I wanted to explain as to why I'm doing this and potentially shed some light on trade opportunity moving forward. Now, this may look like a dog's breakfast. It is rather unappealing if you're just looking at the simple price action of this chart at the moment, or for at least 3 months, the past 3 months, really since the late end of January 2018. It has been rather sleepy. It hasn't moved all that much. It has been in a type of correctional movement, much like the market indices themselves. But as of course, new life comes into the market indices during its correctional time, and as we see the oscillators turn up, I wanted to, of course, explain the justification around why I'm taking positions in EWZ and what to look for moving forward, or at least just to share this trade insight with you. So again, getting back into, I guess, the technical picture of this, if you're just paying attention to the past 2 to 3 months, it is rather ugly. However, if I change this to I'll keep it on the daily chart actually, I'll zoom on out and show you this, the picture begins to shift. It's starting to shift, it's starting to shift more, it's starting to shift more. And as you can see for yourself, I might as well change this to a closing price chart. It becomes clear that we are in an uptrend, all right? Uptrends are good. Trends in financial markets are your friend. I know it's cliche to say this, but you want to trade in the direction of the trend. And if it isn't apparent to you at the moment, if I start clicking on my trend line indicator over here, at least my drawing tool, you can see for yourself, if I start connecting some of these lows, it becomes very apparent that we are starting to intersect with this rising bullish trend line. This is something that, again, I've been paying attention to for a number of weeks, and it looks as though we're starting to see the actual turning off from this trend line. This is very exciting. Also, on top of this, if you just pay attention to the structure of price action, you can see that we're making a series of higher highs, as you can see on the green. And if I change the color preferably to red, you can see that if we start at the beginning of the trend, which takes us back to really December 2015, if not January 2016, you can see that we are still, of course, making a series of higher lows. This is the textbook definition of a bullish trend, and you want to trade in the direction of the trend. I cannot stress the importance of this. If I zoom on into the detail, or at least the most recent price action, you can see that the first time really that we have come on back down and tagged the trend line or got very close to it, we have this inside day candlestick. This is on Tuesday where I began to watch this intraday, took a couple of positions or a number of call options. I'm not going to tell you how many, but it was a rather large sizable position. Immediately on Wednesday, we got the gap to the upside. A little bit of a slowdown, down 24 cents today. We do have that of an open window. Now, generally open windows fill. It's always good to see the open windows fill sooner rather than later. The reason I say that is because if we close the window is closed, and there's no reason as to why any bearishness should continue after. If, however, we continue to move abruptly to the upside, which is always a possibility, the likelihood of price action ultimately coming back down at some later date and closing the window goes up exponentially. So it looks as though during Thursday's session, we may have potentially begun retesting the open window, or at least during Thursday, we tried to push on down intraday. We couldn't actually do this. The bulls came on back in and they held price just as we pierced into the open window. So this is all positive signs. However, if we are fortunate to see EWZ come down to $43, this is where, again, you can begin to pyramid positions when it comes to trade setups, if of course the trade setup fits. All right, it's only if the trade setup fits. Now, if I continue with the analysis, if we start looking into the long-term rising simple moving averages, surprise, surprise, we are once again coming back down and tagging the rising 200 simple moving average. If you go back and look at this historically, generally good things happen after you do this, or after a stock or a market index, even a currency, for instance, during a bullish trend corrects back into the rising long-term simple moving averages. It's a fantastic location to jump into trades. Very low risk. okay? But exceptionally high reward. We really want to see big reward in terms of the risk and reward strategy. And EWZ right now is fitting those parameters quite nicely. If we take this one step further, surprise, surprise, the oscillators have been in that of a correction over the past, well, really for the majority of March. We are starting to bottom, or what appears to be bottom, and as such you can see that we are adjusting from oversold conditions. The RSI has hit this level twice, we've bounced. The stochastics has given us a cross signal, and also on top of that, and most importantly, is the MACD is starting to register that of a bullish cross, and we should start to see acceleration, which has already begun to happen with the MACD histogram bars. So you can see how multiple layers of analysis are coming together very nicely on EWZ, which is essentially laying the platform for this trade moving forward. So what you can essentially look at, and again, this is always personal, I'm just sharing my own parameters of the trade and why I'm liking this, and it's going to be a really good example moving forward, something that we can come back and look at and monitor from time to time to see how this plays out. It's a really fantastic opportunity in terms of the location of this trade. Very intelligent to actually be taking positions in terms of the trade setup. Now, also on top of this, if I bring up this horizontal line, you can see for yourself that we've got multiple touches. If I can, maybe I'll bring it out to a weekly chart. You can see this. There is a little bit of congestion around this pivot, but around the 40 handle, you can very clearly see that there is support. Just here, we've got a tag, some congestion over here, another tag here. We've got multiple points that almost tagged it. It did actually intraday, a little bit of a slowdown here. But also on top of that, if I just bring it up ever so slightly, you can see again, all of the support and resistance, all of the tags on this pivot, which is adding, of course, not only to the bullish trend line, not only to the rising 100 and 200 simple moving averages, and also, of course, those oscillators which are beginning to shift. You can see how we're really getting that confluence area of support. I love these types of trade setups. If you go back historically, it doesn't matter whether or not you apply it to index funds or individual stocks. It's always good to buy the pullbacks during a confirmed bullish uptrend. And if you choose to trade options, okay, I am an options trader. It's been a very, very, very long time since I purchased simple stock as a trade vehicle. I do purchase stock for long-term holdings just as investments. I take a lot of my trading profits out through derivatives or through options and place them into longer-term types of investments. But right now I am holding June monthly options. I think it's about a 42 strike. It's either a 42 or a 40 strike. There's plenty of open interest, a lot of volume happening on the core side of EWZ, and it's something that once you enter into, right, at the right price, it's really a stress-free type of trade, and it allows you a lot of time to hold those call options for the oscillation back up, say for instance the 47. Who knows if the S&P, if the Dow Jones, if the NASDAQ gets above its respective areas. I assume, of course, that this index fund is going to follow suit. It's already, in a confirmed uptrend. It's gone through its correction. Oscillators are flicking up in alignment with the bullish trend. It's just really a great trade setup no matter the outcome. Of course, always manage risk. Go through and break down your capital account. Go through some money management and also risk management principles. But again, I'm just highlighting to you right now why I do like ticker symbol EWZ. And honestly, I'm in this, obviously to the bullish side. I mean, a bunch of calls on this. I've been in them since Tuesday off the reversal and off the respecting of this 42 pivot here along with the trend line. But if we see a pullback and say we come on back down to 42.50, 42.75, say we close the gap, and even if you give it, you know, a number of days into next week, I mean, there's no guarantee that we're going to be down at this location next week, but let's just say for argument's sake that we are. And we start to see, of course, white candlesticks develop. And again, the continuing sort of hold of this support area with pretty decent volume flowing into this, it could be an absolute stellar type of trade as we close out April, but also move into May. Who knows? Potentially, this might be a multi-month trend continuation that we're starting to see off from this pivot here at $42 per share on this Brazilian index fund. So I just wanted to share that with you. There are other pieces of the analysis puzzle that I have left out, but really to make this as simplistic as possible, just to show you the benefits of buying the dips during bullish trends, allowing enough time with those options or through to options expirations, buying intelligently of important areas of support that are holding and are beginning to turn or at least set up reversals. It's the impetus, or the blueprint, I should say. It's the nucleus, really, for some really stellar returns in the world of trading and navigating the financial market. So I hope this piece of analysis has been beneficial to you. Of course, always go through it on your own accord, come to your own conclusions. But I thought it would be beneficial, of course, to share this information with you. And I got a few comments about doing such, and also emails as well, private emails, and I'm going to continue doing so moving forward. But of my list, outside of the top 12, this is certainly up there as one of my most favored trades, a trade that I am personally in, and something that I am very much looking forward to monitoring as we progress through the rest of April and into May and also June. So we'll come back from time to time and monitor this trade. But for now, anyway, I think I've left you with at least the blueprint. You can go through and perform other analysis. You can do as you please, but at least I've narrowed it down to EWZ. If you have any questions, email me, success@pivotpoint-trading.com. Until next time, probably until next week, I wish you all the best. It's James signing off on behalf of Pivot Point Trading. Goodbye.